something else to keep in mind. Me personally, I like seeing wizards on the overworld as long as they're not in my way.
If that keeps them out of the dungeons, I think that's a good sign. Looks like
Yeah.
we are off.
Yeah, we are. And the big thing to note about all of the flags here in the 2019 tournament. And speaking of wizards on the overworld, there they are. So everyone's going to have a happy day with that. That level 3 screen, however, is nasty. I want nothing to do.
Ooh, blue Wizrobes, Sea Falcon, screen wraps right over to level 3. All of our dungeons in their vanilla location. They know where they're going, but what they find when they'll get there is the real question.
Yeah, and that was the thing I was going to mention here before we saw the wizards, is that the dungeons, the cave locations are not shuffled. So everything is going to be in its vanilla place. Now, that doesn't mean things are going to be necessarily in their vanilla place to the point where the candle shop that's to direct northwest of start, that could be a bomb bait key shop. All of that's going to be shuffled, things of that nature. But for the most part, all the dungeons and this week's flag are going to be at their normal location. Last week we had them where they were still the same 9 caves, but they were all switched, and that is a fantastic first item to see down there in the lower left corner.
Blight and Leslie both finding their ladders at the same time. I'm sure they are very happy. It'll make a lot of traversing across the dungeons a lot easier. Plus, they'll be able to pick up that coast item.
Yeah, and the big thing about finding transportation items early, ladder, recorder, they make it so that you're willing to, you're not going to get blocked as much, and it makes having to do double dips into dungeons that much easier. Ladder means you're not going to have to do as much double dipping. Recorder, on the other hand, means that you can take gambles in bigger dungeons like a 6 or a 7 and not be afraid of having to come back, because you can get the Triforce, like, oh, hey, I got this, let's just toot on our way back to where we're going to go.
You're absolutely right. Sea Falcon up there running into a few rooms ago, a max bombs. Leave your max bombs or your money, or sorry, your keys. And has to depart with one of his max bombs because it just did not have enough keys to.
Now, leaving max bombs in this specific set of flags isn't as painful as it could potentially be going forward in the tournament, because as you can see there from the map that Sea Falcon just got, we are still on vanilla dungeon layout, so you're going to know where to bomb as long as you know where you are in the dungeon relative. Next week is when things are going to be interesting for those max bomb upgrades, because next week we start with shapes, which is something that we will address there, but you're not going to know what you're getting into, so you're going to be guessing a little bit more on the bombing side. So leaving a bomb in this scenario isn't necessarily the worst thing that can happen.
I'm sure they are holding on to the vanilla dungeon shapes as long as they can, because like you said, next week that's when it starts to get really hairy.
Yeah, and shapes is one of those interesting cats that really affects the way you route. Because here specifically, you saw runners taking 2 different routes. You saw 2 of our runners, Sea Falcon and Bogey, both do 3 first, and there's the bow in 3. Speaking of that, and then you saw Leslie and Blight do 1 first. With the dungeons being in there, not just their vanilla locations, but with their vanilla shapes, it allows you to make those routing decisions because you know what you're getting into.
You're very correct. Oh, and Leslie up there at the blue ring shop takes an unfortunate death. Just provoked a few too many of those knights and couldn't quite get through it.
I don't know what it is about that screen, but in all the test runs I've been doing, and I say test runs I've been doing some like plus or minus 4 HP shapes, full overworld shuffle, the whole shebang. That screen, literally, the past like 10 seeds I've done, every time I get on that screen to check for the Armos item, I die. Like, without question, I die.
I think it just has it out for you.
Yeah, I'm wouldn't be surprised.
We've got some Lionels in level 1. Really not what we want to see. Those are rude enemies. They usually have a lot of health, and man, do they hit hard. Our coast item is a heart container. Not a terrible find, but probably not worth the whole trip if you know there. As Sea Falcon picks up a heart container in 3 as well, and Bogey takes an unfortunate death in level 1.
Yeah, the thing with the heart containers here is this set of flags is very interesting in the sense of, because you know where everything is, you know that the white sword item is going to be in the cave above the waterfall where it always is. So finding a heart container there is nice in the fact that you want to try and make your route to the point where you're not going up to the vanilla level 5 section to where the white sword item is without having 6 hearts to guarantee yourself the white sword. And of note, I want to point out up on Sea Falcon's side, this is one of my favorite tricks to do. Is you've seen the block clips to get by, like, you know, the diamond staircase, things like that. But you can also use the block clip, as you see Sea Falcon doing here, to stand in there and basically be immune to dark net damage. Now, you still have to wait for them to come towards you, but you're not going to die.
And Bogey finds on the floor in level 1 the wooden boomerang and chooses not to pick that up. Blight has located the Triforce in level 1, but still wants to go digging a little bit farther as they walk into a room full of blue light.
Yeah, Lionels are an interesting cat, especially in dungeons, because in rooms like this, they're fine when you have a lot of mobility, but if you put Lionels in rooms like the NSU room, or this grid pad room that you see Bogey in right now, they can be very, very much difficult to dodge, because those sword beams, you know, they come at you pretty fast, they deal 2 hearts worth of damage, and, you know, and without a lot of maneuverability, it's very hard to avoid dying to them. So Lionels in dungeons, while slightly better than Wizrobes, are not the best thing that you want to see.
Yeah, that sword's going to travel the whole way across the screen, and it is just unfortunate news. You know, I don't want to call it too soon, but we are looking already at a seed that's pretty combat heavy, so we'll see if it pans out sort of like the race from last night as well. Hopefully our runners get a bit of a break as they go through further dungeons. And Bogey picks up the Triforce in...
Yeah, we did see Blight pick up the wooden boomerang there. Now, memeing aside with me and Lord Banana and all that, seeing Lionels in dungeons, it's actually a smart pickup here. And I'm going to say this about both boomerangs in this scenario, is having either one of them in this scenario is a very smart pickup, because with Wizrobes being out of the dungeons, the only enemy in dungeons that the boomerangs are not going to be able to stun are the Dark Dust. So that gives you a little bit more breathing room, especially with the Lionels.
Yeah, if you have the capacity to stun your enemies right off the bat, that's honestly, I think that's a economy play there. So I think in my opinion, as a rather novice Zelda player, I always pick it up because I like to play it safe and keep it safe. Sea Falcon takes down that Dark Knight room, and Blight picked up the Triforce in 1 as well, and is heading up the mountain.
Yeah, of note, we do see Leslie down in level 2. And another thing to note here with these first 3 dungeons, 1, 2, and 3 especially, is knowing the map layouts in those 3 dungeons is very helpful, especially for bombs, because, and that's an unfortunate death for Bogey on that same screen we're talking about, because unless there is a hard block stopping you, then you will always be able to bomb into every room in dungeons 1, 2, and 3. And what I mean when I say a hard block is bombing from the top into an old man room, bombing from the left into a corridor staircase room, or bombing in any direction but up into Zelda's room. Those are the 3 ways you'll be hard blocked from bombing into a room in one of the first 3 dungeons. And we have finally extricated from the block clip of Dark Nuts there, and Sea Falcon has made his way back into level 1, picking up the ladder, and more importantly, getting the frame-perfect tap so you get the sword stab as you pick up the item. Completely irrelevant trick, but so much fun when it happens.
You know what? You could just pick off that extra keys. It's not a bad thing.
Oh no, it's very much fun when you get it with with the sword beams, or a wand fire, or the boomerang. And hey, we do have our Armos item. It's actually not over at the grave, where it tends to be about 60% of the time in this flag set, but it's actually at the 30 secret to the east of where level 2's location is. The thing to note about that's going to mean that the 30 secret that is usually underneath that Armos block is now going to be switched over to the grave. So Bogey now has picked up their Coast Heart, and that's going to put them at 7. So that means whenever they decide that they want to go up to route in vanilla level 5, they can do that and pick up the white sword item, which based on what we've seen right now, I mean, there's still a good possibility it's going to be a heart because this is heart shuffle, and you know, that's what you tend to see there, statistically speaking. But being guaranteed to get it, it's one of those things where it's like, you're like, ah, I'm happy, I know I have this, so we're good.
You're absolutely right. Blood picks up the bow, and Bogey sees a candle there for $67. Doesn't quite have enough money, but knows how much it's going to cost when they need to start burning some bushes for additional money or to get into level 8.
I mean, a candle's not the only way to get into level 8. You know, just go in, find a wand, have a book spawn on your feet, and realize, I don't need no stinking candle. Hope you have an enemy that you can burn and get lucky on the shop.
Happen to kill a Gleeok and then step on it, no harm done. It's fine.
Exactly. Leslie making a quick little bit of a pit stop here, and I actually very much like this pit stop. For two reasons. Number one, he's picked up the 100 secret up in the north. It's the only 100 secret in the game that you can get without the candle, and that's going to guarantee he can purchase the candle when he goes back to the shop. Number two, and the more important thing about this, is that it allowed him to pick up the letter. Now, the letter is going to allow him to buy the potion, which, with the way combat has been in a lot of these seeds recently, that's going to be something that's good. You want that potion.
When you're progressing through the game, you definitely want to have as much health as possible, and especially if you're deep into a dungeon and you don't want to save and quit out, or run the risk of only having 3 hearts left. Once you do that, then that potion can definitely be a light.
So we do have our first glimpse at the white sword item right here, and it's the power bracelet. While not specifically required in this flag set, it is going to make traversing things a little bit easier until we end up picking up the candle. I mean, the recorder, not the candle. The candle doesn't help you travel. What am I talking about?
If you do on a candle, nothing happens.
If you play the recorder on a candle, wouldn't you just blow out the candle?
It's as yet untested by science.
Okay, well, we'll talk to our people and we'll get right on.
Excellent. Leslie Bow heading into level 5. I believe the first of the runners to head into this level and see what they block down into this staircase, and finds the first item here, which is a raft necessary for level 4 and allows them to get a potion or a heart, depending on how safe they're feeling at that point. So an essential find and also a very useful find there in level.
Yeah, absolutely. The other big thing about finding the raft is a lot of these seeds, especially in the early couple of weeks, finding the raft has been the last item people have found before they were sort of in what we like to refer to as go mode, where you just go in and not have to worry about searching for the items. If you find them, great. So picking up the raft early, I know when I see an early raft, I'm sitting there, I'm fist pumping, I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm having a great time, because that's one less thing I have to worry about. And level 4 is still a relatively small dungeon, so having to dig level 4 for the recorder as opposed to having to dig level 7 for the raft, much preferred.
I can say we all do love transportation items. They are what make this game just a little bit more accessible. So Blight picks up the Triforce in level 3. Heads up to maybe the Blue Ring shop?
Yeah, you're right over here. You're probably going to be heading over towards 2 at some point. Probably going to be up-Aing. So checking out these 2 shops here to see what's in both of them. Definitely a very good call, because, again, you're going to need to find some source of fire at some point, whether it's blue candle, whether it's finding the red candle, or whether it's just going really, crazy meta and wand, book, and hoping you get lucky. Also, am I the only one who wants the yakety sax music playing right now as Bogey is going around that room with that landmola chasing him?
We'll have to tell Fred to get on it with the recorder.
I think yakety sax might be one. If not, well, there's your recommendation.
It's in no way surprising.
No, that to me, the recorder tune, and we will make sure that we get audio of the recorder tune, because you're going to have to hear it. Just the fact that it changes from the nodal to all manner of crazy things. Like, it's been Spanish Flea, it's been Gato Song from Chrono Trigger. I mean, it's been Elect Man from Mega Man. There are a ton of different recorder tunes, and it's one of the best things because just figuring, hey, I know that tune, but I don't remember quite where it comes from. It's great, and it takes you a little bit back to all that video game nostalgia you had.
If there's any more evidence you need that this game is an absolute labor of love, that I believe is that final cherry on top of the sundae is each customized song that's really no small feat of.
Yeah, and what you see down here is down in the bottom left, you see Blight doing what's referred to as the world wrap there, because you've seen the screen scrolls, but you can do the same thing on that screen with the ladder and flip over to get whatever here is on the ladder heart. This is traditionally used in the vanilla route after you've done, you've done 3, 4, you'll do over here. This will allow you to screen wrap over it and then either go to vanilla 2 or vanilla 5 in the speedrun route. Blight having the same issue I do is I can never find the exact spot I need to stand to get that stupid turn.
Bogey picks up the blue candle of the candle shop up by 5 and heads into 5. We'll be very happy to see that raft in there, I'm sure.
Oh, 100%. What we're not happy to see is these blue land molas over on Sea Falcon's side, because blue land molas, they're just as horrible as the red ones, except they move twice as fast. And coming in from the top, not as bad. Coming in from the top on a shutter door, very bad. The worst part about blue land molas, or red land molas in that case too, is when you come in from the left and there's nothing you can do about it. And speaking of things that are awful, even though we did pick up the raft, which is good, but it never feels good when you get sniped by a Keese. Trust me, I've done it. I've gotten sniped by Keese on the way to Zelda. So yeah, getting sniped by a Keese when you're trying to pick up your item, never a good feeling.
It is just the ultimate insult to injury.
Well, to be fair, if they roll up from their normal 0 HP, then it's a little bit more justifiable, because stabbing a Keese more than once is the worst feeling in this game. Like, worse than running into 15 HP blue Wizrobes, Keese that have more than 1 HP. Literally the worst.
We saw some beefy gels yesterday, too, so it's definitely possible we could see those bats flying around with some big muscly.
Yeah, it's the hit point shuffle flag. I love it for 99% of enemies, and I hate it for Keese.
Exactly.
Like, if there's the everything rolls but Keese flag, I'll take it.
Well, there's only so much time before we implement the oops all Keese flag, so hopefully we don't see that anytime soon.
I mean, there is something weird about the concept of just seeing a Patra that's one giant Keese in the middle and then a bunch of orbiting Keese around it. It might be more intriguing than the concept of Patros.
I think I had a nightmare like once.
Ooh. We do find our first item in level 8, and that is going to be a heart container. And Blight down there in the Dimetap Grape level 8, putting the wooden boomerang to fantastic use there, stunning and grouping up those Stalfos to be able to kill them. And Bogey going to go ahead and find the second item in level 5, which is a heart container, utilizing another one of the many clipping tricks that you can do in this game, this time the T-Room ladder clip.
Ooh, Blight heads into a really nasty Chevy room there with a Patra just hanging out at the top, waiting for unsuspecting travelers.
Ooh, that's nice.
And is rewarded for that traveling with a much desired white sword, which is going to do 2 points of damage instead of just the 1 from the wooden sword. Combat just got a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding the white sword there on the floor, huge. As you can see, it's still not killing the Stalfos in one hit because they roll up to 3 HP, but it still makes things ridiculously easy. Or easier. I can't say ridiculously easy, because that's, Magic Sword, Red Ring, all full hearts, but, White Sword definitely helps. So Bogey going to go ahead and be our second runner to find that the Power Bracelet is the White Sword item. Now, if I could go back to the tea room ladder clip I mentioned for just a minute, there is something to note about the tea room, is because you have to be able to have access to that bottom set of the tea, and the game never expects you to be able to clip to get anywhere. If you come in from one of the sides and can clip to the middle, you will be guaranteed to be able to bomb down in that room if there's no door, because you have to have access to it. So just something of note, that the game will never expect you to have to clip or cheat to do any, quote-unquote cheat, or bypass the game mechanics to get to anything like that. Just another little small note if this is sort of your first time playing.
Most definitely. I believe we saw Bogey pick up the Triforce from 5 not too long ago. Checked out the White Sword item as well.
Yep, and now we're here in level 4, which level 4 is, again, it's an interesting dungeon because it's still smaller, but it's the first dungeon we come across that is not guaranteed to have all the bomb walls available. So again, just something to keep in mind that we may have to work around. So 4 is really one of the first times you have a better chance of coming against a hard ladder block. Not going to be something that we're going to see here, considering all of our runners have the ladder already, but still something to keep in mind.
Very much so. No, I didn't see the price of the red potion, but it looks like the blue potion there costs 30 rupees, so 2 of them seem to be more of an economical buy than just buying 1 red, which is what Leslie just did in the bottom right-hand corner. Nice safety move there. It's always nice to have a potion later on, especially.
Absolutely. I think 82 was the number I saw, so a 22 rupee savings, absolutely. Go for the 2 for less than the price of 1 deal. And I know that's technically doing math in a video game stream, but we don't promise no math.
We do it all here. We do sports, we do math, but most of all, we do Zelda 1 Randomizer.
Yep, and Bogey with another heart container here in level 4, so double your heart container pleasure in level 4. The one thing to keep a note for Bogey now is with having 11 heart containers, that means when they inevitably head up to level 6, they have right now, at the moment of me speaking this, a 40% chance to acquire the magical sword, because that's going to need between 10 and 14 hearts. So that's good. The more hearts you get before you go to 6, the more chance you're going to increase your offensive firepower.
Yep. I don't think we've seen Bogey in 8 yet. They do have the blue candle, but if they head up to 6 first, then they might not even need to pick up the white sword. If they skip right to the magical sword, which over time is definitely going to pay dividends because it does 4 points of damage instead of the 2 of the white sword.
Yeah, I know what my personal preference is, and I know a lot of runners will agree with me on this. They would much rather dig 8 for items because there's 3 items in 8 than dig 6 or 7 for items. So I know if I'm in Bogey's position right now, I'm going to do everything I can in my power to try to quote-unquote go mode both 6 and 7, where I can just go in, get the Triforce, and get out. So I'm much more likely to go to 8 before I go to 6.
I'm not sure what you're implying there, that people don't like going to level 7. Level 7 is boatloads of fun.
Well, I mean, it's boatloads of fun when you're back here behind the microphone and you don't have a controller in your hand. But level 7 is one of those where it's obnoxious, not because it's necessarily a pain to get, as Bogey pick up the Triforce in 4. Level 7 is obnoxious because it's such a large dungeon. It's 33 rooms. And it's the second largest dungeon in the game, only second to level 9, which 9 should be the largest dungeon. But 33 rooms, a lot of which you're not going to be able to bomb into. So it's just a pain, especially if you're having to look for the floor item in level 7 and you know it's something new.
Oh yeah, and if you don't find that compass, you are digging and digging for the Triforce. Chat throwing in some question suggestions here. Patra and the Overworld. I don't know if we're ready for that quite yet.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to get spit out of an any road right into the waiting lovely arms of a Patra. Wait, no, I don't. Anyway, Bogey is going to go ahead and go to 6 as opposed to going to 8. Again, not the wrong call here because it gives you the check at the magic sword, and I definitely do like this check. And hey, when you're rewarded with the magic sword, you're never going to be mad about that. So this turns out to be a very fruitful move for Bogey here. I was giving you how I would go about it, what my thought process would be around it. Oh my word, that is a painful screen to get onto levels.
Ooh, you have one route where you need to go. That is a brutal entrance.
More importantly, take a look over on Sea Falcon's side. We found the final item in 8, and it's kind of an important one. Those delicious silver arrows.
It's a nice pickup, one of the required items to defeat Ganon, so it's nice to know that one thing you don't have to find. So what else are we looking for on Sea Falcon's side? The raft and the recorder.
Right, and the silver arrows are a huge find, especially in these flags, because the important items in 9 flag is turned off. So that means what the game considers important items won't be there. Those are recorder, raft, ladder, bow, power bracelet. So none of those will be in 9. So finding the silver arrows in a dungeon that's not 9 means when you get into 9, you don't have to worry about trying to dig through 9 to find them. You can just find Ganon, find Zelda, and go about it that way.
Efficiency is the name of the game in level 9 as well. You want to spend as much time as you can, cover as much ground as possible until you find both Ganon and Zelda. So we've got 2 of our runners in level 8, Blight and Sea Falcon. Leslie Pro's digging level 1, and Bogey up in level 6, looking for that Triforce.
Yeah, well, Bogey does have the compass here in 6, so they definitely know where they have to go. Blight going to go pick up the silver arrows here, and you gotta love it when you get some boomerang killing Keith's action. They're always happy to see that. But at this point, this has become a sort of, I don't want to say a race to the recorder, because that would sort of be disingenuous to the route that people are going to end up taking potentially through level 9. But whoever finds the recorder first is definitely going to have an advantage of the 4 people we see on screen. And we did have this brought up in chat about Blight's sprite. And yeah, that's a tongue twister to say, Blight sprite. Blight is playing as the Dark Nut sprite. There are several different options of sprites you can play as in the randomizer program itself. Basically, most of the enemies you see that have a walking animation or a gliding animation, in the case of the Wizards, you can play as. So you can play as the Dark Nut, the Lionel, the Moblin, the Stalfos, the Gibdo, the Darkman, as you see on Blight. That's my personal preferred sprite. And there's the Wand in 6 on the floor there. There's also Trogdor, the Old Man, the Old Woman. You can play as Zelda. So there are a bunch of sprites you can play as. And there are some people who have chosen to put their own custom sprites into the game as well. I've seen Legacy of the Wizard sprite set. I've seen Link's Awakening sprite set. I've seen a Kirby sprite set. Kirby's probably my personal favorite.
Yeah, I think we've got Tecmo Bowl in there as well. The wand that you just picked up does white sword damage with that magical sword is not quite as critical, I suppose, for Bogey, but is a nice ranged weapon, at least until they pick up the bow and some arrows as well.
Right, but the one thing to keep in mind with the wand is that you can tap A and B together on the same frame, and you will actually use both weapons at the same time. So technically, with both the magical sword and the wand, if you get that frame tap correct, you can be doing up to 6 points of damage with a sword.
And that's enough to dispatch almost any enemy in the game. So Bogey finds the Triforce here in 6, surrounded by a bunch of unfriendly enemies, gets that heart reef, and Sea Falcon heads up into level 5.
Yeah, Leslie putting the raft to use heading to level 4, as Blight is heading into level 2. Now, my memory might be a little shoddy here, but I believe that the second item in 2 was never found because it was Goma blocked. So with Blight going in here with both bow and silver arrows, we have a good chance of figuring out what that second item in 2 is.
We shall see. I believe you are absolutely correct with the Goma block there, so we'll see what else we can dig out. Sea Falcon makes... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sea Falcon makes quick work of that Aquamentus, just hanging out in that NSU room with the silver arrow. Really not too much trouble there.
Yeah, no, I mean, at this point of the game, when you're starting to get the increased weapons, the silver arrows, white sword, magical sword, it makes a lot of the quote-unquote early game enemies a little bit trivial. When I say early game enemies, I mean the things you see in the first couple of dungeons. Gorillaz, Stalfos, Zols, things like that. It is definitely made, the magical sword and the damage increases are made to cut through things, like your Wizrobes, like your Dark Nuts, like your Blue Lionels, which you don't see in the vanilla game until your walk up to 9.
Yeah, I think there is a distinct turning point in there. Around when you hit around level 5, you hit the Gibdos, you hit the blue Dark Nuts in vanilla Zelda, and you realize maybe the game actually has it out for me, and it's not as easy as I.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other big thing is in the vanilla game, if you think, oh no, level 2's item was not Goma blocked. Interesting. As I was going to say, in the vanilla game, if you look at it, each of the dungeons, there are 3 quote-unquote enemy sets in the vanilla game. There's the Gorilla primary set, the Darknut primary set, and the Wizrobe primary set. Now, if you look at the vanilla game, each of those sets of enemies appears in 3 dungeons. Gorillas in 1, 2, and 7, Darknuts in 3, 5, and 8, and Wizrobes in 4, 6, and 9. I know what you're thinking, but TGE, Wizrobes don't appear in level 4 in the vanilla game. But it's the rest of their enemy set that does. That'd be the Likes, and the Vire. So it technically is the Wizrobe set, just not physically appearing.
Excellent Zelda trivia there. Stuff I didn't even know. And I feel like I've been playing this game since before I could stand up. We saw a really cool trick over there on Blight's side as well. So there were 2 Landmolas. Blight killed one, walked out, and then walked back in, and then there were 0. It phases out that enemy if you X the room after you've killed one. So you can cross through the room without an issue after one has been taken down.
Yep. Also, on another note, we have found our recorder. It is the staircase item in level 6. So Bogey does go ahead and picks up the recorder. So now, I mean, we're still not in go mode over there because we still need the bow, we still need silver arrows, but the recorder is a huge boon to that. Falcon also picking up the Triforce in level 5.
So with the recorder, I guess that puts us in no mode. At least we know where all of the essential items are, but we are just waiting for one of the runners to get a complete and then blitz through those dungeons. So we'll see who's heading up to 6 next to pick up that recorder.
Like I said, a lot of our runners are probably not going to head there right away, simply because 6 is one of those you try to go mode it. So the early dive of quote unquote early dive of 6 there for Bogey, definitely a huge advantage.
Yeah, it's a good gamble to take. That and the 11 heart magical sword really paid off.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna give me an 11 heart magical sword, I'm not going to say no. But Bogey did come across the mugger room there with the maxed bombs or rupees. Had the rupees to spare, so definitely went ahead and spent that. I would always rather spend the money, although my favorite thing to do is, hey, give me 5 keys. Sure, I got the magical key. You ain't getting anything.
It's a nice free play. It's excellent. Now, we have not seen the any key, I think, in any of the dungeons that our racers have been in. So we'll have to...
We haven't seen a lot of things. We haven't seen the book, the magical key, the red ring, the red candle, or that really, really horrible blue boomerang.
Blight picks up the Triforce in 2, just as Leslie picks up the Triforce in 4, adding another triangle to their collection. Both makes easy work of these red Dark Nuts in level 3. Regardless of whether they rolled up or down, those things are taken out in one hit with the magical.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're just plowing through some of these things. However, Bogey does have the distinct disadvantage of still having to sword down these Pole's Voice. And now, the interesting thing about Pole's Voice is, for those of you who might not have played the Japanese version or the Famicom, Pole's Voice in the Famicom are weak to, well, your own voice. So in the Famicom, there's a microphone on the controller that when you run across Pole's voice, you're supposed to scream or yell into the microphone to kill Pole's voice. Unfortunately, there is no microphone like that on the American controller, so that's why in the American version, Pole's voice are super allergic to arrows.
But if you want to play a fun trick on your friends, invite them over and give them an American controller and tell them that's how they need to defeat them. See how long it takes them to figure it out.
Not going to lie, until I started playing the Zelda 1 Randomizer, I didn't even know you could stab Pole's voice. I assumed you could only use the bow and arrow to kill them.
I think that's a completely fair assumption. They really do take a lot of time to take them down anyway.
Yeah, oh, trust me, I've killed my fair share of Wood Sword, 14 HP, Pole's voice, and some of the HP shuffles. With shooter rooms, yeah. Not fun is the best way I can put it.
Sea Falcon finds a hint there from the old man telling people to get off his lawn. In my day, we didn't need hints.
I mean, in my day, we had, the Nintendo hint hotline, where your phone bill came in and your parents were really mad at you, and because not only did you spend, $13.95, you still didn't beat the darn game. What do you mean 10th enemy has the bomb? Leslie, 2 rupees short of paying the old man toll, so opts to stab the old man a couple times, up A, and hoping to get 2 rupees from this room to the right. Bunnies do have a chance of dropping rupees, so we could get that. Unfortunately, Leslie is the only one of our runners without an upgraded sword, so we are going to see the multiple stabby stab.
Sea Falcon gets the Triforce out of her. And you know what? I think we've seen almost, if not all of the runners, hit that old man room. It's in a really unfortunate position, just a chokehold in level 3. You kind of have to pass through that spot to get anywhere in the level, or at least to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, no, that old man mugger room is a hard stop in 3. Although, you mentioned interesting trivia earlier. Well, I have more Pole's voice trivia for you. Did you know that Pole's voice, according to the lore of the game, aren't actually rabbit?
TTE, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know that.
Yes, if you look at the lore of the game, Pole's voice are actually ghosts that are highly sensitive to noise with the big ears. But they're not actually rabbits. They just have these large ears because they're sensitive. They're poltergeists that are sensitive to sound.
What use do you think ghosts have for whiskers? Who's to say, really?
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, if you look at some of the original concept art for some of these enemies, they are completely different than what you see in the game. Now, that's obviously part of that is due to the 8-bit limitations of the NES. But, sprites aside, the lore of Pole's voice being ghosts is fascinating to me.
They are very bunny-like in the game. But, you know what? You gotta do what you can with the graphics you have. Quick note, Bogey did pick the bow in level 3 on the floor there. So that is an excellent item to find. Just looking for the silvers at this point. Ooh, Sea Falcon finds the any key on the floor of 2 after killing those Landmolas. So that is a worry off of there. If you don't have to worry about key resources from that point, you are feeling...
Yeah, no, any key is huge. And I can, understand not wanting to kill a room full of Landmolas. I can get that. So yeah, I just did a little more research, and apparently there is no statement as to why they have whiskers. Pole's voice are just, quote, ghosts with large ears, whiskers, and a large maw of teeth on their undersides. So yes, when they jump on you, they are biting you.
So Sea Falcon also just picked up that magical sword with a solid, 13 heart.
Yeah, I mean, going into the Magical Sword with 13 cards, you're pretty confident because there's an 80% chance you're going to get it. And then you walk in and you don't get the sword, and you just have this pure look of just, the Price is Right failure horn is playing. You have this sad look on your face, and everything's just like, hmm. Oh, wow. So we have a couple of finishers that aren't on stream here, and I'm bringing it up because there is a 5-second difference between our first and second place finishers. 40 minutes and 1 second, and then 40 minutes and 6 seconds. Yuno's finishing in first, and Fairwolf finishing in second. But yeah, that is a 5-second differential. That's crazy.
That's about a menu apart.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we do have a Triforce pickup down in the lower left corner of our stream. That's Blight picking up Triforce 5.
I just can't help but think that George Michael's favorite enemy in Zelda was Bill's voice because they had careless whiskers.
Yes! I love everything about that. Although I'm pretty sure chat now hates you because you've opened the waterfall of puns.
I just received some angry DMs about that. I'd like to apologize to the speed gaming community.
Yeah, they're not mad that you made the pun. They're mad that you opened the door for me to make the puns.
So Blight picks up the raft in 5. Back to our game.
Yep, absolutely. And then the raft is definitely, again, a huge find. Definitely happy to pick that up. But yeah, as you can see in chat, you're getting all the support. You can make all the puns that you want. I can't. Allowing me to make puns is a crime. See, it's not, you're fine. It's just me they're going to get mad at. So you keep doing you.
Listen, I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. And Bogey picks up the any key on the floor of 2 in that same Linmola room. Seahawk taking out that last Lionel and heading down through the tail of the dragon in 6.
Yeah. Tail is a good way of putting it. That's the other one of the fun things about like the original maps here is they all have their name, like the eagle, the moon, the kanji, the snake, the lizard, the dragon, the devil, the lion, and the skull. Some of them I see, some of them I don't. I don't see a dragon in level 6. I see a lizard.
There's Bogey's Triforce in 2. And I do agree with you. There's a demon, I think, is 5 or 6. It's been a while since I've read the booklet.
Yeah, demon is 7. Yeah, no, like, I can see, the first ones I can understand, but Sea Falcon going to go ahead and pick up his recorder, which now, because, unfortunately, Bogey's sound we don't have access to, but we do have access to Sea Falcons, which means now, once we get out of here, we will be able to play quite possibly my new favorite game in Zelda 1 Randomizer, and that is, of course, Name That Recorder tune.
All right, chat, give us some answers. Whenever this recorder sounds, what do you... And when in doubt, guess Final Fantasy games.
I thought it was when in doubt, make a pun.
That's a default mode for me. I'm talking specifically about the recorder.
Okay. It's one of those, I recognize it, but can't name it.
I feel the same way. Leslie picks up the Triforce in 3. And Bogey finds the silver arrows. What a welcome find.
I'm actually mad at myself. Of course, part of that's on me for only having my my volume turned up a little low. But that was Judgment Day from Final Fantasy VII, which is and I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this. I know I'll have at least one supporter, though. A much better song than One Winged Angel.
You know what? I'm not going to totally disagree with you. I think there were a lot of underrated songs in Final Fantasy VII that kind of overshadowed by that, but that's okay. I think it's different strokes for different folks.
No, absolutely. And we're seeing something down on Leslie's side that we don't tend to see a lot of here in the randomizer, because most people choose to screen scroll instead. But this is the way the developers intended you to get into the grave side of things if you went here before going to level 4. And that is the up left, down left path through the Lost Woods.
Or as I like to think of it, the part I always had to ask Mr. what the code was for it, because I always forgot.
Yeah, it's amazing that I still remember the code, considering I'm a screen scroll snob, and unfortunately Leslie not able to pick up the magical sword at 10, which means we know it is 11 hearts.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. Hopefully finding a heart in the 6 to make the difference there. They might go try afterwards, it's hard to say. Fighting through that Wizrobe room, just really, really difficult. Or not room, sorry, entrance just below 6. Falcon finds a blue Goma and is making their way through 7, which is we've seen that from the runner. Bogey picks up the Triforce in 8. Just one more piece, it looks like.
Yeah, I like this play from Leslie, going one screen to the right to the potion shop. You just go ahead and immediately buy a potion and immediately just fill up with it. So he's able to just get into level 6. I like that.
Yeah, if you die in a dungeon, you started at the beginning of the dungeons. All things considered, saves a lot of time walking back compared to walking back to the start screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather take the 30 seconds and 30 rupees to not die.
See, Falcon finds a nice pumpkin spice level 7 there, and down this dig dogger.
Whoa, hold on. Labor Day just ended. Keep your pumpkin spice. Keep your pumpkin spice out of my Zelda. Okay, it's still summertime technically. I don't want any pumpkin spice till the end of the month.
Okay. Of
course,
burnt orange. Can we compromise on burnt orange?
Oh, absolutely. My car's color is burnt orange. We can absolutely compromise on burnt orange.
Blade picks up a heart container in level 4. Bogey finds the Pulse Voice room in level 7, plus some fireballs. Just a rude room altogether.
Although I do have to say this with a caveat. For my job, I'm in a lot of different grocery stores every day. And, I'm giving the whole pumpkin spice needs to stay away things, but the worst thing I've seen is in one of the stores I was in on July 31st. July 31st, I'm going to repeat that date for you. They were putting up their Halloween candy display.
You're talking to the wrong person here, TG. That's my birthday. Halloween's my birthday. It can be all year. I strongly advocate for Halloween decorations starting to go up in stores on November 1st. So you have no allies in this commentary.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying I have allies, and I'm not saying I'm not afraid to die on this hill. Sea Falcon is not going to die on any more hills, though, because he just picked up a red ring sitting on the ground in level 7. What I am going to say is when I'm sitting there, I'm in shorts, it's 120 degrees. I don't want to be thinking about, the end of October where I'm going to be, 2 days away from freezing myself off in 3 feet of snow and kids coming to my door dressed up as the Avengers.
You know what? What's spookier than a heat wave?
Anything with a picture of me.
All right. Well, we're making our way solidly through level 7. Both Bogey and Sea Falcon have everything that they need to progress at the end of the game, so they are really just looking for the Triforce at this point. Hopefully the compass first, so that they can make a more efficient route in that direction, but we shall see what they find. I don't see anything blinking yet, so it seems like they haven't found it.
Well, I mean, technically those fireballs were blinking, but, that's just getting into semantics now. Just work. I love the fact that someone in chat's calling me out for having images of me sitting on my boxer shorts on my porch. Well, the joke's on them. I don't have a porch.
That's really the contentious point here.
Yep, not that I'm not outside sweating in my underwear. It's the fact that I don't have a porch.
Speed gaming variety show. We do it.
Oh, unfortunately for Sea Falcon there, was planning on just going right across to pick up the Triforce in that room, but is cut off by a corridor staircase. And I just would like to point out that neither the staff at Speed Gaming nor the admins of the Zelda 1 Randomizer tournament advocate the fact that I am sitting here talking about being outside sweating in my underwear. You should all know this is a joke, because we all know my relationship with pants. Anyway, back to Halloween candy and Threech's birthday, because that's probably a much better discussion.
Well, we have a really close race at this point. Actually, all of our runners have almost equivalent Triforces at this point, so they are, with the exception of Blight and Leslie, they're looking for the all those item spots are filled out at this point, so we're in good shape now. It's still going to be a tight race, and level 9 could hold anything, so nothing is called until we are at Zelda.
Yeah, absolutely here. And, Sea Falcon is going to go ahead and whistle over to go ahead and head to 9. It would help if I could get the words out. But we have had a bunch of finishers in the interim here. We've had finishers 3 through 7. Our third place finisher with a time of 45 minutes and 44 seconds was Redbird Grad. In fourth place with a time of 47:59 is Zeb Gedney. Fifth place with a time of 49:06 was Sliddick. Sixth place with 50:10 was Scytown, and seventh place with a time of 50:36 was Captain Green 7.
Fantastic times. Ruble __, thank you so much for the subscription to Speed Gaming channel. You guys are what make this possible. We appreciate you. The entire Speed Gaming channel and family of channels appreciates you. Thank you so much.
100%. Leslie going to go ahead and pick up the recorder from level 6. So once Leslie goes back into level 8 and picks up the silver arrows, that would be go mode there. But we are in level 9 with Sea Falcon, so we are now going to be looking and listening for a couple of things, and this is an interesting start to level 9. We can only go up.
It's not a bad thing to find. So in level 9, TGE, we are looking for... Well, we're listening for the roar of Ganon in a room adjacent to Ganon or the Beast, depending on your sprite. You will hear a bestial roar. We're also looking for a shutter door that does not open after you've killed all the enemies in the room. Or if you have defeated Ganon, it opens before you kill any of the enemies in the room.
Or you can just have Ganon right here next to start.
Or we could just do that. What a quick find.
I got $10 on Zelda being in one of these two adjacent rooms because that's the way the seed feels like it's going.
Oof, with 13 hearts in the ring and magical sword, Sea Falcon takes down Ganon with no trouble at all. So now we are on a quest to find the princess.
I'll take my money, everybody. I'll take my money.
GG's to Sea Falcon, who finds Zelda in the next room. Please get your GG's in chat.
Yeah, that is the 9 you dream about. 4 rooms. That's amazing. And that is going to be an 8th place finish for Falcon with a time of 53 minutes and 20 seconds. But yeah, those are the 9s that you dream about.
But you know what? We do have 3 other runners here, so Bogey picking up that Triforce is about to have a very similar experience, I would guess. So let us see what happens with the rest of our runners. Sea Falcon, wow, what a quick, excellent. And you were absolutely right, chat and TG. Judgment Day from Final Fantasy VII was our record tune.
Oh, I 100% trust the person in chat who told me that because I know that's their favorite Final Fantasy VII song, so I 100% trust them on that one. But as it is, we still have 3 more runners left on screen, as was mentioned. Bogey get their last Triforce, so they're going to be on their way to level 9. Blight is still here in 6, and Leslie making his way over to level 7.
You know what? I really think so. I know that the rest of our runners picked up the magical sword, but I think there is very much something to be said for runners who keep the wooden sword the entire time, whether through choice or not. It takes a lot of endurance and confidence to continue through the game with a wooden sword. So I think that is just an excellent and admirable. At least until Leslie, if they decide to go up and pick up the magical sword, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do like what we just saw Leslie do there. So in the vanilla speedrun, what you tend to see in level 1 is called the pirouette, where you enter, exit, and enter back in. You unlock the door that's directly opposite you. You do the same thing here in the randomizer, and I love going ahead and leaving the dungeon, playing the recorder, and opening the door to the north. I do love doing that, seeing that. But I hear the famous little Discord bedouin noise, so that means we've got ourselves a falcon.
Hey, TJ.
What's happening?
God, what recorder?
Hey, hey, it's still a sub-hour scene, my friend.
Oh no, I blazed through the seed except for whatever the heck I was doing in level 2. Probably shouldn't have went back after I died that one time, but yeah, it was this interesting thing about having the enemy shuffle between like onto the overworld is that having a bunch of blue wizards, especially one dancing on the stairs in front of 6. And when you're about to die, made me up A and say, "Now you know what? I'll try something else."
Oh yeah, no, I saw that, and I'm not entirely sure the noise I made when I saw that, but it was something.
That might have objectively been the worst screen on the entire game. GG's on finishing the first of our streamers on this on Speed Gaming 2. In 10 seconds or less, what were your thoughts on level 9? Just kidding, you don't have a time restriction, but apparently 9 does.
Anyone who knows me knows that with level 9 that the worst that it's by far my worst part of my randomizer game. So I'm really glad that it just handed it to me, because I kind of wanted this to be over as fast as I could after the first 8 levels.
Yeah, definitely. Although, to be fair, this was definitely a much friendlier seed than the one we saw last night. Trust me, I'm still licking my wounds from that. But all things considered, when you go in to a level 9 after being battered around by the seed in the way that this seed did, it's got to be a good feeling just sitting there and being like, oh, I only have to do this for 4 rooms.
Yeah, that was really nice, and I made sure to hang around to start to see if Ganon's roar happened to be next to the Aquamanus, and thankfully it was. Thankfully Zelda was right there, and that's the first time in a while I have been caught flat-footed and was not actually ready to type .done when I found Zelda.
Yeah, of note, we do have Leslie just picking up the red ring, and interesting, I don't think Bogey heard Ganon's roar in 9, and there is a good reason that this potentially could happen. As you mentioned it earlier, Falcon, the shutter doors opening and closing can mask the roar. So in the shutter door room, if you think you heard something, you have to wait around for a minute. And I saw you mentioned that you had to wait around because you almost didn't hear it. You caught it at the same time we did, just as you were leaving that Aquamentus room.
Right. And as soon as I heard it, I immediately, like I said, I tried to turn around because I'm like, I was telling myself, well, that's why I waited a second, because I didn't catch this, because I know the Aquamentus has the same roar as Ganon, so it can mask it, but I didn't hear anything like the first time, so that's why I wanted to stay there just in case. Otherwise, I was gonna end up probably on a magical journey through level 9. So.
Yeah, and that is a note to people watching is bosses and Ganon do have the same roar. But if you walk into a room with a Patra or with a Ganon or with a boss, there will be a little audio cue at the very beginning of the room, right before they start roaring. That will be Ganon's roar if they're trying to sync up and go together.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Bogey might have missed that, or as possibly just didn't hear it.
Yeah, like I said, like Falcon said, that shutter door can cause things to be delayed. So I know I've missed it a ton of times, especially at the beginning when I was playing the randomizer, and I didn't even realize that was a thing. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. Also, it looks like we've got Blight making his way up to the level 9 area as Leslie is continuing to traverse the 33 rooms of pain that is level 7.
On the hunt for that Triforce in 7. It did take a...
Yeah, never happy to have to dig the Triforce in 7, although I would imagine, I'm pretty sure Falcon, you'll agree with me on this, getting to go mode level 7 is the best feeling.
Yeah, so it would be? Except I found both items anyway. So I don't know how much of a go mode it ended up being.
Right, well, just because you found both items doesn't mean that you weren't in go mode going into it. It just means you ran into both items. You weren't actively looking for it.
Yeah, and I'm glad I had the microphone off because I yelled something pretty bad when I saw the red ring on the floor, so... Like, just sitting there, I was like, come on, really?
I can imagine what that would be, but hey, at least you got the red ring now as opposed to later. The good thing for Bogey right now, maybe not because it's Aquamentus, but if we can bomb up here, correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be a bomb up into Ganon. In the interim, yep, this is a bomb up into Ganon. In the interim, we have had a couple more finishes here. In 9th place, Can't Find Bombs did find Zelda with a time of 1 hour and 13 seconds, and Tetrally coming in right behind in 10th place with a time of 1 hour and 57 seconds.
So really quick seed tonight, and Bogey down Ganon, again with that magical sword and 13 heart. It's not a bad setup. And the red ring.
Yes.
Now just has to go find Zelda.
Hey, look, Zelda. Oh, hey, look, Zelda. Yeah, and it looks like Blight's falling into that same... I don't want to say trap, because it's not a trap, but has fallen into that same, the shutter door masking Ganon's roar, so is going ahead and taking the unfortunately long path through level 9 here. That finish for Bogey was an 11th place finish with a time of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 24 seconds.
He's in chat for Bogey, and we proceed with our runners, making their way through 9 and 7 for Blight and Leslie respectively. I think we always expect 9 to be a little bit more difficult too. I think you can psych yourself out pretty easily if you're expecting that you have to go through the whole thing, but in fact you have to go through about 4.
Oh, like I know going into level 9, my thought process is just, I gotta go through level 9? I don't want to do this. I really want to do this. And then you go in and you get the 4-room 9, and you're just like, I'm okay with it. Also, Leslie, unfortunately, going to have to end up full clearing this level 7 here because he is still looking for the silver arrows. Does go ahead and pick up the Triforce here, and the only rooms he's got left are the 3 or 4 in the sort of neck area of the demon. I don't see this as a demon. This is a bird. This is a demon duck.
It's like Pac-Man on steroids. So Leslie is heading over to level 8, presumably, to go find the Triforce, find the items, get the... Pretty sure at this point Leslie knows they must be there.
And with that Discord noise, that means we've got ourselves a bogey.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Bogey, how'd you feel about that level 9?
I am mad I did not turn left. Like 3rd room in. I'm just looking at my map now. I did a very circuitous route to Ganon, but it's the nature of the game.
Yeah, all things considered, though, I mean, you look at the time, hour 1. That's still a fantastic time, especially with a couple of the trolly things that we saw in the seed. The biggest of which being that screen to get on to level 6.
Yeah, level 6 was tough. And actually getting into level 3, because I think I went straight to level 3 and was kindly greeted by about 6 or 7 Wizrobes, which I think was very similar to the trek up the ladder to level 6. So I think if I didn't have the 11 hearts that I had when going up to 6, I would have died many times headed up there. But I'm glad the Wizrobes were in the overworld this time.
And we know from Leslie that 11 hearts is the number you needed to get the magic sword, which definitely helps.
Good. Yeah, I was taking a chance. I thought, because I had not yet gotten the raft heart in the northeast corner, and had a couple other hearts I could have picked up along the way. So I just took a gamble. I was over in the vicinity of 6, but the combat, I bailed out of 3 early. Had to bail out of 2 because the blue, I think it's the Moldorm, I forget the name of the enemy.
Landmola?
Landmola, that's right. Thanks. So I bailed out of 2 early just because taking on a Landmola a blue Landmola with 3 or 4 hearts would have been too difficult. So yeah, there was a little bit of trolley stuff there, but once I got the magical sword, things got a lot easier.
Yeah. Speaking of trolley stuff, since I know both of you were the 2 winners we had on screen who went to 3 first. What's your thoughts on the immediate hard block in 3 of leave me your bombs or your money?
I don't know if I saw that. If I did, you know what? I skipped out before getting there. I skipped out when I saw 9 or 10 red dark nuts, so I didn't even get that far. But by the time I got back in there, I think I had over 100 rupees. I
gave up the bomb, and then got ladder blocked out of the Triforce, which was lovely.
And then the ladder's immediately there. Oh, hey, by the way, here's the ladder in 1 free.
Yeah. No, I was like, oh, of course. Thanks, level 1.
Yeah, no, but the paying of the early bomb there definitely sparked a little bit of discussion. And I guess, with that, I want to ask a question that's sort of pertinent for next week, being shapes. Is leaving the max bomb something you're more inclined to do in a seed like this, where it's vanilla dungeon shapes, as opposed to shapes, because you don't know what you're getting?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Just because you may not find the map and may have to just start bombing anywhere you can. So I would be more hard pressed to give up my bombs in shapes. Admittedly, I've only done 2 or 3 shapes runs so far, but I found that having bombs in shapes is certainly. I found that just bombing random walls certainly is not to my advantage in shapes thus far.
Falcon? Your thoughts?
Well, so obviously I've played shapes a lot.
Yep.
It's what I started Zelda Randomizer on. Yeah, this vanilla dungeon layout thing is actually something that's actually newer to me, if you can believe that.
I remember when you started. I know this for the fact.
I'm sure. So for me, I value all resources and shapes, bombs and keys, more than I do in this. So if I saw one of those rooms early, I'd probably just leave. It probably wouldn't have been what I did tonight, which is keep going.
I definitely get that. So we do have Leslie finding the Triforce there in level 8, and he's going to go ahead and find a staircase. Now, I believe that, yep, this was the transport staircase and not the silver arrows, unfortunately. That's going to be a little bit different set of us.
And takes a death over in level 9, which might be a blessing instead of a curse. We'll see if if Blight.
That pause actually is probably going to be a good thing. Yep, there's the pause. Hearing Ganon, that pause there, and the death. You are correct. Very much a blessing. And Leslie does choose to go back into level 8. I like this call here because there are still 2 more items to be found. I very, very much like this call going back to 8. Also, one thing of note, Blight does have to be a little careful here. It does go ahead and pick up that Zelda kill very easily, as opposed to Ganon. But I'm going to say have to be very careful because being touched by Ganon will deal 4 hearts of damage with the green tunic, and only have 3 hearts. It's not what you can do.
It's not what you want at that point, but Zelda find after the entrance. So GG is in chat for Blight as well.
Yep, and just a quick programming note here. Now, normally we like to stay and keep on until all of our runners have finished. We're going to do our best that we can, but coming up here at 10 p.m., there is going to be the Final Fantasy I Randomizer Total Chaos Tournament. There's going to be a race of that coming up. So whether or not we've got all of our runners on stream finished, we will be cutting to go to them at around 9:55. I don't foresee that being too big of a hurdle to climb, but I just want to let people know ahead of time that is going to be a programming note that we're going to be coming into here. Also, if you have not done so already, as our lovely tracker behind the scenes, Dark Falls, has noted here in chat, please give all 4 of our runners here who are entertaining us with killing multiple Tektites a follow if you have not done so already. You will see their names there in the Speed Gaming chat, so please go ahead and give them a follow.
You know what's easier than leading is following, and you should be doing that as well to my wonderful co-host, the Greenleaf Effect. And make sure you are hitting that follow button. You know, go out and support the runners and the tracker and everyone involved with the Speed Gaming channel. Really, we could not do this without your support. So we appreciate you, and we hope you keep sticking around to catch our puns and catch our entertainment.
And that same follows there. I mean, if I'm going to get the plug, then I'm going to do the same shameless plug. But as I said, please go ahead and give the behind the scenes staff here a follow. That's going to be Dark. That's going to be Threech. So make sure you give both of them a follow as well, because you hear Threech, myself. You hear the commentators, but behind the low key behind the scenes, the people who make this as easy for us to be as possible is the person behind the scenes hitting the buttons for tracking. Because if you look at this layout, you see where everything is, you see who has everything. It makes it so much easier to consume, and the trackers don't get a lot of love because they're not talking under that. So make sure you give your tracker some love.
This is by no means a 1 or 2 person effort. This is the effort from multiple people who make. So Leslie, still heading through, still digging to find the silver. Be very grateful, I'm sure, where they are located.
Yeah, but the good thing is there's not much of level 8 left to explore, so we will be coming across those silver arrows here rather shortly. Although I have to, put myself out of the mindset of I'm so used to using second quest staircases, which add a whole new wrinkle to things, that I'm thinking, oh, this diamond staircase is a diagonal block room. This could be a stair. Oh no, that's not a staircase from the first quest room. But as was seen earlier, we did have Blight finish, but right before Blight finished, Malchior finished in 12th place with a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 34 seconds. And then Blight right behind in 13th place with a time of 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 4 seconds. And more importantly, Leslie has almost left without the silver arrows and the keys, but there is the silver arrow.
Almost a dangerous move.
I don't want to be the one to admit that I've had that happen, but I've had that happen.
Leslie beelining for level 9 here.
And with that, that means we've got ourselves a Blight. How you doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing good. So I guess the question needs to be asked here is, that death in 9 turned out to probably be the best thing that could have happened, with Ganon being right there to the left, right?
Oh, yes, very much so. I didn't hear him the first time through. As you saw, I kind of threw the fire back into the Ganon room when I was going for, Ganon, I guess, since I'm a Dark Nut.
Oh, yeah, hey, I'm a full-on supporter of the Dark Nut Sprite. I feel you.
I love the Dark Nut Sprite. But yeah, I really didn't hear him the first time through, so I was kicking myself when I realized that I was hearing the roar of Ganon as I was going up, and especially since it was right below the princess, or the captured.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely a thing, because that shutter door that's opening and shutting there in that room can mask the initial thing of Ganon's Roar, and with the Aquamentus, it made it even harder. So I definitely get that. One quick note here: Leslie is not going to be able to get into Ganon the way that we've seen everybody else get it from the side there. No keys.
Yeah, where was that any key in 2? I was searching for it for a little bit and then just gave up on it because I could have sworn I cleared every single room.
Blue Land Mola.
The one in the bottom right corner? Because I cleared that one.
I thought it was the red Lambo in the
the red
top
one?
right.
There's the
It was
top
the
right.
red Lamos.
Oh, it was the red ones?
Yeah.
Okay. I just heard Land Mola and assumed it was blue.
Damn, I must have missed it then. There's like 4 or 5 red Len Molos rooms in 2. If I remember right. They're everywhere.
Yes, they are. Good news for Leslie. Did pick up a key because Aquamentus had one. Bad news for Leslie. Going north.
The deceptively easy level 9 we were discussing earlier. Just you really don't think that it's gonna take you 4 or 5 rooms to beat Ganon and to pick up. And yet.
We have had a couple of other finishes here in the interim. Russian Bishop finishing in 14th place with a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 24 seconds. And right behind Russian Bishop is Sparkover in 15th with a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 52 seconds. Now, we also did the programming note about what's coming up here on Speed Gaming, but also keep in mind we have got the final 2 races of Week 3 qualifiers coming at you tomorrow. First, on the Speed Gaming family of networks at 12 noon Eastern Time, we are going to have Race 7, and then to end the day at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Randomania, we're going to have our last of our Week 3 qualifiers.
We've got a whole lineup of a whole bunch of talented runners. We've seen them tonight. Leslie making her way through level 9, heading up way up to the top of the screen. So we'll see what happens. It might be another situation where a surprisingly fortunate death takes them back to the beginning, but again, we'll wait and see what.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than going through level 9 and realizing you've passed by Ganon's room. Trust me, I did it on stream last week. I know how that feels. But good thing for Leslie here is this room full of Koreas makes getting bombs definitely on the easy side. So while we are continuing to have Leslie can go through level 9 here, I guess I'll throw the question out to all 3 of you here in the chat. Any of you guys planning on participating in either of the races tomorrow, or are you done with Week 3 and looking forward to Shapes next week?
I myself will not be able to race tomorrow. I have plans, which I cannot change, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Shapes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be unfortunately I have Ocarina of Time Rando weekly commentary duties tomorrow, so I'm out. Because apparently my way of vacationing from one randomizer is to talk about another one, but yeah, I'm looking forward to week 4 and 5 with the Shapes for sure.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, you broke into this randomizer with Shapes, so that's definitely more your comfort ground, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and same here. I'm going to be taking tomorrow off. Maybe I'll do a practice Shapes run ahead of Sunday's Shapes race, and we'll see how things go.
That's perfectly fair. I mean, all 3 of you with the very, very strong finishes here. So definitely hey, I've had my good one. I'm gonna retire this and just go into Shapes with going to week 4 with a happy thing. And hey, Leslie found something.
Looks like a shutter door that did not open. So will they find Ganon?
Let's hope. We got to find Ganon real quick here when he goes down and there's nothing there. So yeah, we are going to get a Ganon here, Ganon fight from Leslie here. So we are going to get all of our runners here to have found Ganon in a fairly reasonable amount of time, because Ganon can sometimes, be hiding up in that top left-hand corner, and there's only one magical staircase to get to him. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can hear you laughing over there, Falcon.
I also wanted to ask real quick, by the way, to TG. First of all, am I the only one who accidentally picked it up, the wooden boomerang, and were you very happy when I accidentally did?
Didn't realize that you had accidentally picked it up at all. I know that Blight picked it up and used it quite effectively, but Leslie is going to go ahead and pick up the Ganon kill and grab Zelda there, and that is going to be a 16th place finish for Leslie with a time of 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 40 seconds. Also, we've got the end of our race here coming fast and furious. CCX finishing in 17th with a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 16 seconds. And Trails right behind CCX.
That was about a
1 hour, 20 minutes,
5-minute 9.
4 seconds. So, with that,
That helps when they're both right there. Just saying.
Get rid of all the interviews here, but there's a Final Fantasy 1 weekly randomizer coming up here in about 9 minutes, and we probably should give them a little time to get ready for that, right?
Now my timer stops.
Of course.
I think that sounds like the plan.
That was Judgment Day from Final Fantasy VII. That's not one I would have guessed, admittedly, because
Reach, anything else you would like to add before we get ourselves up on out of here?
What? Just everyone enjoy the rest of the tournament. Don't forget to get out there and give all of our runners, our commentators, our trackers, everyone involved a follow if you like what you saw. Check out the Zelda 1 randomizer and check out the community, especially. It's a wonderful group of people who really care about what we. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, agreed. And on behalf of all the runners you see here, the staff behind the scenes, and of course my co-commentator, Breach, I am TG, reminding everybody to, of course, as always, keep hailing.